The town of Oakhaven was a place of simple beauty. Emerald hills rose on either side, cradling the houses like precious gems. A river wound its way through the heart of the town, sparkling like a silver ribbon. The people of Oakhaven were kind and hard-working, their lives moving at the gentle pace of the river. Winters in Oakhaven were long and cold. The first frost arrived each year with a whisper, painting the world in white. Windows frosted over and children bundled in woolen scarves and mittens. But on the night of the first frost, something magical happened in Oakhaven. Lena was a young girl with eyes as blue as the winter sky. She lived in a cozy cottage with her mother, who had once been known for her beautiful singing voice. But lately, Lena's mother had grown quiet. A sadness had settled over her, stealing away her joy and her song. Lena missed her mother's songs. They had been like sunshine in their home, filling every corner with warmth and light. She longed to hear her mother laugh again, to see the sparkle return to her eyes. Lena wished for her mother's happiness more than anything in the world. One evening, as the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, Lena's grandmother told her about the lantern's wish. It is said, her grandmother whispered, that the shopkeeper, Mr. Ilias, can grant any wish made with a pure heart. Lena knew in that instant what she had to do. She had to find the lantern's wish and ask Mr. Ilias to bring back her mother's song. The air was crisp and cold as Lena snuck out of her house that night. Her breath formed white puffs in the darkness, and the snow crunched softly beneath her boots. She followed the winding path to the edge of town, her heart pounding with hope and uncertainty. Finally, she saw it in the distance. The lantern's wish glowed warmly amidst the snow, its windows radiating a beckoning light. As Lena drew closer, she could hear the faint sound of music, like wind chimes dancing in the breeze. Taking a deep breath, Lena pushed open the door and stepped inside. Hundreds of lanterns hung from the ceiling, each one unique and beautiful. They shimmered in every color imaginable, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Some were made of stained glass, others of intricately carved wood. Lena had never seen anything so magical. Behind a counter stood a tall, thin man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He wore a long velvet coat and a cap pulled low over his brow. This must be Mr. Ilias, Lena thought. "Welcome, Lena," Mr. Ilias said, his voice as warm and comforting as the lantern's glow. "I have been expecting you." Section 5. Mr. Ilias. Lena nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. "I wish for my mother's song to return," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "She used to sing all the time, but lately she's been so sad and quiet." Mr. Ilias listened patiently, his gaze filled with understanding. When Lena finished speaking, he nodded slowly. "Your wish is a noble one, child," he said, "but a wish for another's happiness is not easily granted. Are you willing to make a sacrifice?" Lena didn't hesitate. "Anything," she said. "I would do anything to hear my mother sing again." Mr. Ilias smiled. "Very well," he said. "Come with me." He led Lena to a table in the back of the shop. On it sat a single lantern, unlike any other Lena had seen. It was made of clear glass, and inside a single snowflake swirled gracefully. "This lantern holds the essence of your mother's joy," Mr. Ilias explained. "To reawaken her song, you must infuse it with your own happiness. Think of your most cherished memories with your mother and let those feelings fill the lantern." Lena closed her eyes and thought about all the happy times she had shared with her mother. She remembered singing songs together, baking cookies in their cozy kitchen, and listening to her mother's stories. As she focused on these memories, a warm feeling bloomed in her chest. Slowly, the snowflake inside the lantern began to glow. It pulsed with a soft, ethereal light, reflecting the joy that was building within Lena. "Now," Mr. Ilias instructed, "carry the lantern home and place it by your mother's bedside. As long as the snowflake glows, your mother's song will return to her." Lena carefully lifted the lantern, her heart overflowing with hope. She thanked Mr. Ilias and hurried out of the shop, clutching the precious lantern close to her chest. The snow had stopped falling, and the sky was beginning to lighten with the first hints of dawn. As Lena made her way home, she could hear her mother's voice in her head, singing a sweet lullaby. When she reached her cottage, she tiptoed inside and gently placed the lantern by her mother's bed. The snowflake glowed brightly, casting a warm light across her mother's face. Lena watched as her mother stirred in her sleep. Slowly, her eyes fluttered open and a look of wonder spread across her face. She sat up in bed and looked around, her gaze finally settling on the glowing lantern. And then she began to sing. It was the same lullaby that Lena had heard in her head on the way home, but even more beautiful than she remembered. Her mother's voice was filled with joy and love, washing over Lena like a warm wave. Tears welled up in Lena's eyes as she listened. Her mother was happy again, her song restored. She had never felt so much love and gratitude in her life. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the lantern's glow began to fade. Soon the snowflake was nothing more than a shimmer of light, and then it was gone. The lantern itself remained, a beautiful reminder of the magic that had transpired that night. Lena knew that the lantern's wish would be gone now, vanished until the next first frost. But the memory of that night and the gift that Mr. Ilias had given her would stay with her forever. From that day forward, Lena's mother never stopped singing.